do want to ask you about Joe Gomez before we get back into what's going to happen tonight.
Yeah.
It looks like an injury in training and international duty, every manager's favourite type of injury, is going to put him out for quite a period of time. In and of itself, on its own, in isolation, not that big a deal for Liverpool. But coming on the back of the Virgil injury, this is actually a massive problem for Liverpool now.
That's a huge problem. It really is. And I mean, I don't know the extent, but obviously I heard the breaking news straight away yesterday, and I thought, well, you didn't know what it was. Now, if it's been confirmed a knee injury, then that is a real concern, because you pretty much know very quickly whether or not it's a bad one. Your hope then is that it's one that's just 6 weeks as opposed to 6 months, in something really, really bad like Van Dijk has had. But you're right, Jurgen Klopp will be absolutely furious that this has happened, because he's someone that you would have earmarked as someone who would really pick up the slack of Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez. And you have to counter that with the fact that Matip is back fit, but he has a lot of injury problems. He has a lot of niggly injury problems. So this is a concern. This will force Liverpool, I would think, to have to do some business now in January. I know they've got the young lads coming through, and that's great. And, of course, people talk about their inexperience, but you can counter that by saying those young centre-halves are playing against top-quality players in training, but it's still a different challenge actually playing in the Premier League as opposed to training against them brilliant Liverpool players.
Have you seen anything new, Gary, from Liverpool since the Van Dijk injury to suggest that this system can withstand a further injury? Have they changed anything to alleviate for the best defender in the world being absent? And how much can that help them now over the next couple of months? Or, well, it could be weeks or months, however long Gomez is out for as well.
Well, listen, initially, I mean, when they kind of like convert Fabinho back to that centre-half, you're thinking, OK, you can see what they're going to maybe try and do. But you take someone of his experience out as well, so it does leave you so vulnerable. And I'm not sure if that Liverpool defence is designed solely by the fact that they have the best centre-half in the world in Van Dijk. I genuinely think that's something that they try to do, not just because of his ability, but because they want to be pressing high, forcing turnovers high up the pitch and giving the best goal-scoring opportunities on the turnover. So I'm not sure whether or not they're suddenly now going to rip up the whole game plan and defend deep, because I think as a young centre-half, I think you'd probably feel more comfortable in and around the halfway line than you would in and around your box, where Premier League strikers, midfielders get in range of your goal. So I think he'll look at the scenario, because he's a brilliant manager, and that Liverpool team has evolved every 5 or 6 months since Jurgen Klopp's been at the club. So if he feels he has to do something to give him the best opportunity, I wouldn't be surprised that he has, but I haven't noticed anything just yet.
The high line is going to be a talking point for sure. Like, you look at the first fixture back after the international break, it's Leicester City. It's Jamie Vardy going up against that high line. It's obviously a high line that he ripped to shreds against Manchester City. There's no way Klopp reconsiders that even a little bit, is there?
Well, I think he might possibly have done it anyway. It's not even what he does against Manchester City, Jamie Vardy. You remember him getting that record-breaking goal against Liverpool when he used to terrorise them as well. So I think you're quite right. He's probably just one centre forward that, if you were looking to expose that high line, that Vardy is the one that can get you in, especially when you think about the quality they've got in midfield, that they can make those passes. But again, Jurgen Klopp will identify, well, listen, I'll keep a high line, I'll keep my midfielders right on top of there so that they can't make those passes. And that's the best way to go about it. So it will be fascinating. I will be really intrigued to see how they do look to cope against Leicester.
The latest speculation is that it might be season ending for Joe Gomez. They're hoping that it isn't, because obviously it was non-contact, and the speculation he caught his studs in the turf, and he's already had an ACL injury.
Oh, is it the same knee, Joe?
I think that's what they're saying, yeah.
That's a massive worry, it is. And I listen, in terms of the recovery, ACLs are not quite as troublesome as they were, 10, 20 years ago. Obviously, the medical departments have improved so much, but nevertheless, it's a concern that you've got the same injury. Listen, the flip side of it, you'll say, he's got the mental strength, he's come back from the first one, he can come back from the second one, but that is a real concern for the young man. I wish him a speedy recovery.